in a book set to be released called Breaking Cardinal Rules. The author, Katina Powell, says for years, with the direction of former UofL basketball player and coaching staff member Andre McGee, Powell provided private dances and sex acts for Louisville recruits and some of their fathers. She says that happened from 2010 to 2014, sometimes on Louisville's campus.
When this first broke a month ago, I questioned everybody if anybody has even a little knowledge or hearsay or seen anybody. And everybody, to the person, over 15 people, said they have no knowledge of anything, never seen anything.
I was able to get a few pages of Powell's book before it's released from a source. Here's a sentence. It reads, Katina prided herself in providing a variety of good talent.
Let's call this what it is. They're called escorts, I think, in the book, but they're prostitutes. And to suggest that he could pay multiple prostitutes to come to Minority Hall and have sexual relations with athletes is ludicrous.
Andre McGee's attorney, Scott Cox, says McGee is not guilty of any of these allegations. And Cox has hired retired FBI agents who have not found anything to support Powell's claims, even though the two had crossed paths.
He did not know her super well. She's not someone that he saw on a regular basis. She's someone who introduced herself to him because he was an athlete at the University of Louisville.
Coach Rick Pitino says not only is he upset at these allegations, he's hurting for his team and future recruits.
When somebody gives you their player, you're their parent for that time that they're here.
McGee is now an assistant basketball coach at the University of Missouri, Kansas City. He was placed on administrative leave Friday afternoon. In another exclusive passage we've received from Breaking Cardinal Rules is this statement. I don't think what I'm doing and what they are doing is wrong in my eyesight.
She's a whore. She's interested in making money.
No criminal charges have been filed. The NCAA and an outside firm have been investigating since they were made aware of these claims last month. Now, so many are waiting to turn the pages themselves. Staying with this story, a WHAS 11 News exclusive. The only reporter to sit down and talk with Katina Powell, the writer of Breaking Cardinal Rules, says he does not regret writing his piece. Anthony Shotley works for the Indianapolis Business Journal. He says Powell researched publishing groups because she did not want to release the book in her hometown of Louisville. She chose Shotley's sister company, IBJ Book Publishing's LLC, and the two first met for the interview revealing these allegations this spring. The book Breaking Cardinal Rules has been released. It contains detailed claims of former UofL basketball player and staff member Andre McGee. The author, Katina Powell, says McGee paid her and her three daughters thousands of dollars from 2010 to 2014 to provide sex acts for players, recruits, and some of the recruits' fathers.
She feels like it's an important story for her to tell. She feels like it's important that these sorts of activities come to light and that these sorts of activities end. But again, she also makes no bones about it that she needs the money. She's a high school dropout. She's not escorting or stripping anymore, so she is essentially broke and needs the money, as she said, for survival, to put food on the table.
Before there was a book, there was a sit-down between Powell and Anthony Shotley, an Indianapolis Business Journal reporter. Shotley tells me Powell approached his sister company, IBJ Book Publishing's LLC, about revealing allegations against McGee and the University of Louisville.
I contacted the University of Louisville, the NCAA, University of Louisville staffer Andre McGee. I contacted him. I contacted his current employer, the University of Missouri at Kansas City, and I contacted Mr. McGee's attorney. Unfortunately, those all render a no comment.
Powell says for the sex acts, McGee paid thousands of dollars in cash.
According to her, it comes all from Andre McGee, although it's very interesting. Late in the book, she said Andre McGee organized one liaison after he had already left the university and was at the University of Missouri at Kansas City. That's what led Katina Powell to believe that other University of Louisville officials were involved. It's not really clear exactly who's providing the money. Katina wonders that herself. But all payments were essentially had come from Andre himself.
But the book was not just taken and published. Shotley says he and his team launched their own investigation into these claims well before his story was written.
This book was not published lightly. There were multiple investigations done by the book publishing company. There was a Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter involved in vetting this story.
Now detectives, fans, and anyone else can read the words themselves as the NCAA and UofL have started their own investigations.
The truth has its way of surfacing, and I think one way or another in the coming months, we'll know all there is to know.
Andre McGee now works as an assistant coach for the University of Missouri, Kansas City. The university says he has been placed on administrative leave because of these claims. UMKC, along with the NCAA and UofL, is conducting an internal investigation. The center subject of breaking Cardinal Rules, former UofL basketball player and staff member Andre McGee, accused of paying the book's author Katina Powell, her 3 daughters, and others to have sex with recruits, some of their fathers, and other players.
Just what she says in the book doesn't necessarily mean it's an admission. They're going to have more than that to make a case against her. In fact, they're most likely going to have one of her daughters come forward and say that it happened.
Louisville defense attorney Steve Romines helps us navigate through the laws that are being looked at in this investigation, whether Powell could face criminal charges for making such stern allegations.
If she's charged with a prostitution-related offense, that's basically a concession that our investigation reveals that all this happened, which is going to be very detrimental to the athletic department.
Powell has brought forth the second scandal to rock the UofL men's basketball team this year, and it's already being tried heavily in the court of public opinion.
UofL fans look at the proof and they think there's not enough proof there to convict, or not enough proof for the university to be in trouble. UK fans look at it and think it's plain as day. If the bank account that the money's wired from was Andre McGee's, if the text messages are legitimate, it's going to be a problem for the school.
From the ages to locations, names, to if any of this happened, period. All are being explored by NCAA and private investigators.
The high school kids, he's probably more liable criminally than she would be in that respect.
For Romines, who knows the law very well, he says charging the author could open up a whole different chapter of legal issues. Well, Doug and Melissa, we're finally getting a glimpse of the woman making stern allegations against the prestigious Louisville men's basketball team and the school. I told Katina Powell today she's the only side of the story we have not been able to hear from since her book release. Her response? Not yet.
No comment.
The Louisville madam, whose allegations have rocked a university and Sports Nation. Friday, we finally tracked down breaking Cardinal Rules author Katina Powell in Louisville.
Yeah. Okay, I will.
Your side's the only side we don't have.
Not yet.
Come on, young lady.
Her attorney, Larry Wilder, declined to talk to us. But earlier this week, he told our news partner, USA Today, that Powell's daughters were not underage when they claimed to be paid thousands in cash by former basketball player and staff member Andre McGee.
No, I don't have no comment. I'm sorry.
Is Miss Katina home?
She is, but she's leaving too. She's waiting for her lawyer, so y'all may just have to. They're right there.
Here's one of Powell's daughters who told me her mother had a meeting Friday with lawyer Larry Wilder. This encounter does answer many questions that remain. We now know Powell is still in Louisville, staying close with her family and under the watchful eyes of her lawyer. Katina Powell's attorney, Larry Wilder, whose office is in Jeffersonville, told me he's not allowed to talk, although he did speak to our news partner, USA Today. He was retained by Powell in the event she'd face possible criminal prosecution for her book. I did leave my contact information with both him and Powell. Live in the newsroom, I'm Tabney Dozier, WHAS 11 News.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Doug Proffitt. Melissa is on assignment. First here tonight at 5 o'clock, coverage you will only see on WHAS 11 News tonight. The woman who wrote the book Breaking Cardinal Rules is standing by everything she wrote and even more now. She gave one interview today to only one local station, and you're going to see it right here. In a joint interview with WHAS 11's Renee Murphy and Tabney Dozier, she again claims Andre McGee paid her and other women thousands in cash and says the strip shows and sex acts took place inside UofL's Billy Minority Hall. It comes as Tom Jurich is digging in, saying Rick Pitino won't resign, and the coach is calling out Andre McGee in a strong message, urging him now to tell all for the sake of the team. We have team coverage of those developments. Our Anna Rivera is at UofL, where students have been reacting all day long to the national attention that comes with this scandal. But we're beginning with Tabney Dozier and her interview with Katina Powell, which happened this morning. Tabney.
Well, Doug, after an in-depth interview that we had with Katina Powell, like you said, more than an hour-long conversation, she named to myself and Renee Murphy a local barber, Paul Purrier Jr., or Tink as he's known, as being that person who connected her with Andre McGee. What Louisville native and escort Katina Powell says went on behind these walls at UofL's Minority Hall was a 4-year span of sex and strip shows with basketball recruits and players.
Andre would go to the recruit, whichever recruit that was, and he would say, hey, you know, what girl do you want? I had nothing to do with that process because, you know, it was between him and the recruit.
Powell, the author of Breaking Cardinal Rules, talks only with myself and colleague Renee Murphy. She details how she says she was introduced to Andre McGee, former player and staff member. Powell says it was a local barber, Paul Purrier Jr., known as Tink.
I came in to get my hair cut one day, and he asked me, you know, do you have any girls that would like to do shows for UofL, you know, dance for the players? And I was like, well, sure, you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure I could pull some girls together. And he asked me twice. I did it for him twice, and then after the 2 times doing it for him, it led me straight to Andre.
Powell says the first strip show was in 2010. Then soon after, McGee mentioned the option of sex for the recruits.
At the second show, he asked me, you know, is there any girls that you think would like to pretty much side deal? That's what we called it. And I was like, well, you know, yeah, I think I can pull some girls together. You know, I asked them, you know, hey, would you all like to make extra money? And their eyes just lit up like, well, yeah.
All 20-plus alleged strip shows are set to take place at Minority Hall. The money allegedly coming from McGee, and Powell says her and other women passed students and campus security regularly. Powell also says the pressure to land top recruits came from those higher up than McGee.
We need these recruits. We need this guy. It was like almost every guy was the guy that they needed. You know, we need this guy on the team. He's the #1 pick. He's the #1 pick in the world. Patino needs this guy. My job depends on it.
His job, McGee told Powell, was to land top recruits. His methods of alleged strip shows, Powell believes, was McGee's idea. Since the book's release, 5 former players and recruits have anonymously confirmed to ESPN that what Powell is saying is true. And for her, she says this is validation she has known all along.
You and Renee were with her for more than an hour today. Did you get any indication from her that she's finished with the allegations, that this is it, what we're seeing in the book?
Much more to come. She says that to us very clearly. She told myself and Renee that there are players her daughters had sex with that are not in the book. Former UofL players that her daughters had sex with that are not in the book. She named them to us. You definitely want to stay tuned there. She also says there's enough evidence she feels for another book.
Now, Andre McGee, for the first time, Coach Patino he told ESPN this statement that he wants him to come forward for the good of the team. He said that he was taught better when he was at UofL. Has she spoken to Andre McGee?
She says no, but she told myself and Renee that she feels sorry for him. She remembers during that time, she says there was numerous pressure that he felt to land top recruits, other players who were more successful at UofL, who had went on to the NBA and just have had a better success route. She says they came back to visit and said they looked down upon McGee. We even asked her about McGee's attorney, Scott C. Cox, calling her out of her name. She says she stands by her truth 110%. Here's the phone that kept the reported text and phone calls and the journals that document years of alleged strip shows and sex parties. Katina Powell's attorney, Larry Wilder, feels extremely confident representing his client in a handful of lawsuits, especially after Wilder and Powell's other attorney, Bart McMahon, tell me that she did meet for hours with NCAA investigators Tuesday.
If you believe at least nude dancing was going on in a dormitory for basketball players, and there was alcohol, and there were recruits there. If you believe that, then you can't be a hypocrite and be a blind supporter of that institution and say, oh my goodness, that's okay.
More than half a dozen women are joining a lawsuit claiming the book Breaking Cardinal Rules either mentions their name, stage names, or has pictures of them connecting them to the UofL men's basketball scandal. Some of what's in that book, they say, is not true.
Maybe when their attorneys say Ms. Powell did not give them money, that's a true statement. Ms. Powell didn't give any of the ladies who came with her to perform money. They received their money by the tips that Mr. McGee gave to them or gave money to the recruits to give them tips. Anytime someone thinks that another person is receiving money for something that they feel like they were a part of, there's a lot of times a desire to try to get some of it.
As for UofL, which is also conducting its own investigation into Powell's claims that all of these alleged parties were coordinated by former basketball player and staff member Andre McGee, Wilder says he wishes administrators would switch their focus.
The institution can be as serious about this as they are about a damn sombrero and a mustache.
Lawsuits and investigations happening simultaneously. For Wilder, he remains steadfast in defending Powell through it all.